News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Ricks. President Trump says Iran can't blackmail the U.S. by shutting down the Strait of Hormuz again.
It's working out very well. They got a little cute, as they have been doing for 47 years. Nobody ever took them on. We took them on.
Iran claims the U.S. violated its ceasefire agreement. And now, according to the Wall Street Journal, the U.S. military is now preparing to board Iran-linked oil tankers and seize commercial ships in international waters. That move is meant to force the regime to reopen the strait and make concessions on its nuclear program. Earlier today, Tehran pushed back against U.S. claims that it had agreed to give up its nuclear ambitions. Bloomberg's Jeff Mason has more on that disconnect from Washington.
I think it casts, in general, a broad cloud of doubt over when and whether these talks will happen again, and whether they're nearly as far along in moving towards peace as the president has suggested.
That's Jeff Mason on Bloomberg This Weekend. The president has said talks will continue throughout the weekend. Meantime, stocks were higher and oil was lower Friday, powered by optimism that this conflict could be ending soon. Leslie Marks is Chief Investment Officer for Equities at McKinsey Financial and says she's surprised by the volatility of this rebound.
The market really likes to look through events, particularly when the market and investors think that we're closer to the end of this conflict than the beginning.
McKinsey's Leslie Marks on Bloomberg Surveillance. Right now, Brent crude's just over $90 a barrel. The U.S. has issued a license letting countries buy more Russian oil to prevent prices from surging again. That temporary authorization applies to Russian crude that's already been loaded onto tankers. But critics argue that it enriches Moscow and undermines a sanctions regime against it for invading Ukraine. Here at home, the Supreme Court has sided with Chevron in a fight over jurisdiction. Bloomberg's Amy Morris explains from Washington.
Louisiana argues the oil and gas industry is legally responsible for the rapid erosion along the coast. 8 justices ruled that because Chevron was acting on behalf of the federal government during World War II, the case should be moved from state to federal court. The decision puts a $745 million judgment against Chevron meant for coastal restoration at risk. Justice Samuel Alito did not participate because of a conflict of interest. In Washington, Amy Morris, Bloomberg Radio.
The State Department has confirmed a U.S. delegation traveled to Cuba last week as the island deals with increased pressure from the Trump administration to make political changes. It's unclear who is part of those talks, but the Pentagon is said to be ramping up plans for a possible military operation there as the U.S. continues curbing Cuba's oil supplies. About a year after DOGE took a chainsaw approach to the federal government, the Trump administration is quietly hiring again. Bloomberg's Nathan Hager has more from Washington.
It wasn't long ago Elon Musk was wielding a chainsaw as the public face of government efficiency, but now job announcements on the government's main hiring portal are up 23% from February to March, and the Trump administration is actively recruiting more tech staff, attorneys, and project managers. Federal employment is still as low as it's been since 2009, but the head of the government's HR arm says hiring should turn the corner by the end of this quarter. In Washington, I'm Nathan Hager, Bloomberg Radio.
American Airlines has rejected the idea of merging with United, saying it's not interested in any discussions about teaming up. Bloomberg reported United's CEO had floated the idea earlier this year, but American argues that the combo would be negative for competition and consumers. And Anthropic CEO ended the week at the White House. We get more on that from Bloomberg's Ed Kalegi.
The White House says a Friday meeting with Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei was productive and constructive as the Trump administration seeks wider access to the company's powerful new Mythos artificial intelligence model. The White House said opportunities for collaboration and for addressing the challenges from artificial intelligence were discussed and could set the stage for major federal agencies to eventually start using Mythos. Ed Kalegi, Bloomberg Radio.
Sources close to Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito confirm he is not planning to retire this year, and neither is Justice Clarence Thomas, despite speculation that both conservatives are mulling the idea as the court approaches the end of its term. Alito has served on the Supreme Court since 2006, Thomas since 1991. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Ricks, and this is Bloomberg.